إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. So we stopped at number 19. رأس مالك أيها الطالب من شيخك. Your رأس المال is يعني your original wealth, primary wealth, O student of knowledge, is from your sheikh. نعم. If one of our readers would start. بارك الله فيكم. نعم.
I just need 1 minute, inshallah.
استغفر الله. نعم تفضل يا أخي.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وتوفيقا.
آمين.
يقول الإمام بكر أبو زيد رحمه الله تعالى. Is it 18 or 19? Because I'm seeing 18.
طيب, what
Considering
does
the
it say?
Sheikh's status.
رأس مالك, so it would be 19.
نعم جزاك الله خير. نعم أحسن الله إليكم.
Okay.
الإمام بكر أبو زيد رحمه الله تعالى says, number 19, your capital, O seeker, Talib, is from your Sheikh. Follow his pious manners and noble character. As for acquisition and dictation, meaning of knowledge, then that is extra profit. However, do not be taken by an exuberant love of your Sheikh, yani overwhelming love of your Sheikh, lest you fall into abomination without realizing, and all those around you realize. So do not imitate him in his voice, tone, walk, movements, or appearance. For he did not become a great Sheikh just by this. So do not fall by following him in this.
نعم. الإمام ابن عثيمين رحمه الله تعالى says this is extremely important. He said من أهم ما يكون, يعني one of the most important things. If your sheikh has virtuous manners and good يعني nature and behavior and so on, then make him a qudwa for you, an example to follow. However, your sheikh might be the opposite of that, or might not be like that, or he is lacking in that. Then do not follow his example in this. When your sheikh has a bad manner. As for seeking ilm, he said, يعني Sheikh Bakr Abu Zayd said, أما التلقي والتلقين فهو ربح زائد. As for يعني getting the ilm, then this is يعني let's say يعني it's an increase. يعني it's not that which is essential. No, it is an additional benefit. Al-Imam bin Uthaymeen disagrees with him, and rightly so. He says, الواقع, in reality, أن التلقي والتلقين هما الأصل. Seeking knowledge and teaching, they are the primary thing. Because the tilmid, the student, didn't come to the sheikh to learn manners from him only. However, to learn al-ilm, Islamic knowledge first, أولا, then akhlaq, then mannerisms. And this is what is correct, ya akhwa. This is what the correct. يعني here, Al-Imam bin Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala corrected what Sheikh Bakr Abu Zayd said, and there is no doubt that Al-Imam bin Uthaymeen is correct. You go to a sheikh, what do you want to learn from him? Ilm, right? And also comes what? Mannerisms. And then Imam bin Uthaymeen says, therefore, if you ask a student of knowledge, why did he attend يعني why did he attend for this Sheikh? He would say in order to seek ilm, not to say to follow his example and mannerisms. As for not copying him in his tone and in his voice, فهذا صحيح. This is correct. Because some people, يعني, his love for his Sheikh gets a hold of him. Or يعني, other people as well. So that he starts mimicking their voice as well as their tone and so on. And I remember, يا إخوة, there's a brother of mine, يعني, a brother of ours, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him, and a student of knowledge. He told me once that I forgot which Sheikh, but there was a student that loved the Sheikh immensely. I think it's either Sheikh Falah Mundakar, rahimahullah ta'ala, or Sheikh Hamad al-Uthman. I forgot which one, but it's one of the two. He loved him so much to the point that he started and he putting his ghutra and his iqal and everything, يعني, the way he did. And he started to dress like him and to, يعني, because يعني, he started mimicking him because of how much he loved him. And then Sheikh Bakr Abu Zayd said, and not in his movements and how he walks and his hay'a, يعني, how he appears. Al-Imam bin Uthaymeen said, and this is not general and unconditional like this. However, it is said, if his walk is like the walk of the Prophet ﷺ, then follow his example. طيب. And then we will move on. يعني, I skipped some of what the Sheikh said. And then he mentioned the benefit. He said, وعندما كنت طالبا في المعهد العلمي في الرياض, and when I was a student at معهد, يعني, like a college, like in Riyadh, our Nahu teacher used to move in everything that needs a harakah. So we were very attentive with him. And نتابعه تماما, يعني, we look closely, we're always with him. وهو بهذا يوقظنا حتى لو كان بنا نوم. And by this, his movements and so on, he was, يعني, he used to wake us up even when we were sleepy. And sleep would go away from us. And another teacher would come and starts making sard of the hadith, يعني, just speaking. فمثل هذا يميت نشاط الإنسان ويكسله. And the likes of this would, يعني, kill someone's enthusiasm or kill someone's, يعني, نشاط, يعني, not being lazy, the opposite of lazy, and would make him lazy. And hay'a, يعني, appearance and so on. Sheikh bin Uthaymeen also disagrees with Sheikh Bakr Abu Zayd. He said, don't mimic your Sheikh in hay'a, يعني, the way he is and how he dresses and so on. إلا إذا كانت هيئة حسنة, except if it is a good hay'a, a good appearance and so on. حياكم الله أخي عزيزي وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. In the Arabic, or on the Arabic, we are on page 129. And then Imam bin Uthaymeen says, and the Sheikh might be paying attention to muru'ah in that. And he does that which adorns him in front of people. يجمله عند الناس ويزينه فهنا لا بأس أن تقلده. So, يعني, adorns him in front of people. And here, it is not, there's no harm in mimicking him. As for if you follow him in something that is not praiseworthy, this is the opposite. But if you follow him in something that is praiseworthy, then this doesn't make you fall, يعني, fall from the eyes of people. You're mimicking him in something that is praiseworthy. نعم.
أحسن الله إليكم. يقول الإمام بكر أبو زيد رحمه الله تعالى, number 20, the Sheikh's enthusiasm in his lessons. This is dependent upon the seeker's capacity to listen, frame of mind, and how much he becomes emotionally involved with his Sheikh and his lessons. For this reason, beware of becoming a tool for cutting off his knowledge by being lazy, slack, or slouching, and allowing the mind to wander during lessons. Allah understand.
And this is, by the way, important. يعني, I as a teacher, I can testify to this. I'm by trade I am a teacher. And before I teach, before I started teaching Islamic knowledge and so on, I am a teacher. This is my job. And at a high school, I teach high school. Allahumma barik min. Yani from the ages of 15 and some of them are even 20 and so on. Especially those yani that have failed and are repeating and so on. So I'm a teacher, and I testify to this. Yani if sometimes, by the way, sometimes we know when the student is burnt out. We also know that from his voice. Sometimes just from his voice and the way he speaks, I know that this student of mine, he's burnt out. And a solution for being burnt out is what? Is to relax. Is to relax. There's no problem in relaxing. I am now, I am commenting instead of Sheikh. We will read what Sheikh bin Uthaymeen said. And from that, I always emphasize this. Some brothers, for example, they go on a walk or they do some exercises like aerobics or something like that, or they have a certain gym, a certain sport they like and they play some football, or they play some tennis, or the table tennis, or we have something in Kuwait that is getting popular called paddle. That's like tennis, but it is not very straining, and so on. Some of the brothers, they like taking a vacation, they like going somewhere, they like whatever it is that refreshes them. And some other people, ya ikhwa, they do what? They have to have something daily like that. They have to have something daily like that. Daily, he assigns an hour to sitting with the family or sitting with the friends. He assigns a couple of hours for a certain something where he is no longer burnt out. He feels that he's what? He's refreshed. And some people combine both. Instead of taking a week as I told you, someone would travel or someone goes somewhere, instead of taking a week in order to refresh and so on from being burnt out from studying a lot and working a lot, some people, they do both. He takes a couple of days off or a week off, but still he dedicates a certain time of his day where he refreshes, where he feels refreshed and he can go back to studying and so on. And this is matlub, and this is a maslahah, by the way. This is benefit, and some of the ulama called this a benefit. And wallahi, from the things that I find astonishing, subhanallah, is that some of our mashayikh, and amongst them is Sheikh Muhammad Hisham al-Tahiri, when they want to refresh, get refreshed from reading and studying and working hard, they would read. Subhanallah, subhanallah. They say after reading and studying and teaching, and when they want to relax now, and also bin Uthaymeen, by the way, has mentioned this, Imam bin Uthaymeen, and I think the students of Imam bin Uthaymeen mentioned this, that this is how he is as well. When he wants to relax, he reads. Now it's his relaxation time. He opens a book that doesn't need heavy studying and so on, like Siyar A'lam al-Nubala, that is many, many volumes, and they would read the whole thing. This is how they relax. Subhanallah. And some of the ulama, and it has also been mentioned about Sheikh Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, when he was sick, and the doctors at his time he told him that he has to relax. And he told them, I don't remember the exact wordings, but I remember the meaning of it is that he told him this is how he relaxes, by reading ilm. Subhanallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them an ability that I wish from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us such an ability upon khair and give us such a barakah in studying. Na'am.
أحسن الله إليكم. يقول الخطيب البغدادي رحمه الله تعالى, the right of benefit should go to its zealous wanter and not presented except to the person interested in it. So if the muhaddith أحسن الله إليكم. So if the muhaddith sees slackness from the listener, then let him become silent. But some of the people of culture said, the enthusiasm of the speaker depends upon the capacity of the listener.
Allahu
He
Akbar.
then narrates.
Allahu Akbar. Yani some of the people of literature, some of the other udaba, yani, that are known for authors and so on, yani, of literature. Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi said, Allahu Akbar. And what is the meaning of this? Yani the price, for a benefit to come your way is that it is only given to the one who's seeking it, and is only and desires it. So the one who is speaking, if he sees is lacking, the listener is lazy and so on, then let him be silent. Some of the people, some of the udaba, the literary figures, and meaning the people of literature. نشاط القائل على قدر فهم المستمع. The nashat, the activeness and the enthusiasm of the speaker, is to the extent of the comprehension of the one who's listening. Allahu Akbar. Na'am.
أحسن الله إليكم. He then narrated through his chain of narrators to Zayd ibn Wahb that he said, Abdullah, meaning Ibn Mas'ud, said, narrate to the audience as long as they glance at you with their eyes, and if you see slackness from them, then stop.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Al-Imam bin Uthaymeen says, therefore, Al-Alim, a scholar, it is his right that he does not give his lesson to the students of knowledge or to the general laymen and the general public, people in general, except when they are yearning for it, متشوفون له, so that it is like rain that أصاب أرضا يابسة فقبلت, that has fell on أرض يابسة could mean solid land, or it could mean land that is withered, let's say, and then it accepted it. وأما أن يكره أو يفرض نفسه فهذا أمر لا ينبغي. As for to force them or to force himself onto them, then this is something that one should not. And to summarize, the Sheikh says, when you see people that are yearning for the durus and the speech and so on, then speak. And if you see that it is not the time, then do not speak and do not burden people. And Al-Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala has narrated from the hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him, that كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتخولنا بالموعظة في الأيام مخافة السآمة علينا. That the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to take care of his advices and admonishments. And I found in some of the translations of this hadith meaning that he would give his admonishments in intervals. في الأيام, in days. مخافة السآمة علينا, out of fear that we would be bored. Allahu Akbar ya akhwa. If the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam would wait days and only give them at certain times admonishments because he's afraid that they will get tired of him, of what he's saying. Allahu Akbar. Then what Allah al-Musta'an, then what do we say about listening to other than the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, other than the speech of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? طيب. And then Imam ibn Uthaymeen says, however, a person becomes more emphasized and active if he sees that the people have paid attention to him and they have listened carefully. Na'am. 21.
أحسن الله إليكم. يقول الإمام بكر أبو زيد رحمه الله تعالى. Number 21. Writing what the Sheikh says during a lesson or revision. Understand that this differs from one Sheikh to another, and it has etiquettes and a condition. As for the etiquette, that you should notify your Sheikh that you are going to write or that you have written in revision form. As for the condition, you should indicate that you wrote it from listening to what he said in the lesson.
Na'am.
In his lesson.
Allahu Akbar. Imagine then the people that you tell them something and they start spreading it on. If you say to something in private, to say, if in the lesson you take the permission of the teacher, You tell them, do you allow me to write? And you have some people, they go start testing others. They send messages in private or something like that. And if he is answered in private, he takes it and starts spreading it in front of people on social media without taking their permission. And then they come and claim that they are Salafis. Allah al-Musta'an. Are these the manners of the Salaf al-Salih? طيب. As for our classes, alhamdulillah, you can write. Don't ask anything regarding this. But there is a benefit here. Wallahi, I am so happy that we have found it and we're going to read it now. Because this is crucial. Keep in mind, we are reading the books of people that died before this platform was there. You see the platform you're watching me on? YouTube? It was not even there. It didn't exist at that time. The internet was at that time was in kilobytes. It was 48, I think, kilobytes or 50 kilobytes. This is how the internet was back at that time. There was no internet in the phone, on phones and stuff like this. No. There was no Bluetooth. We are reading what the people that lived and died before this time has come. And what did he say, Imam bin Uthaymeen? He said, in the matter of writing down as the Sheikh is speaking, we must pay attention to an important issue, which is that some words might pass you while you did not notice. So you would write that which is the opposite of what the Sheikh said. And now, and all praises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do not need to write. The student of knowledge does not need to write what the Sheikh is making ilqa, he's talking. Because we have tapes. And they convey what the Sheikh says from beginning till an end. And you وأنت تستمع إليه وتقيد ما ترى أنه جدير بالتقييد. And you're listening to it and you write down what you see to be worthy of writing down. I would like to expand here, if you allow me. If we wanted to finish the book, we can refrain from giving benefits. If you want, we can give benefits. Do you want the benefits? Subhanallah. نعم. طيب. The benefit, barakallahu fikum, sometimes you are reading for a certain goal. Meaning, I am reading now. I am reading. When I'm reading on my own, I'm looking for a benefit that I don't know. I'm not going to underline a benefit that I do not know. So mostly I am underlining benefits I know. When I am preparing for these classes, I underline that which I know as well. Because I want to say that in the class. Especially when I'm summarizing. For the Dawra Ta'siliyah, for the Ta'sili Dawra that we are going to do, inshaAllah Azza wa Jal, I am underlining that which is going to be part of that which is Ta'sil, and which the Sheikh has chosen as Ta'sil, as foundational for a student of knowledge that wants to become a student of knowledge. So, a Sheikh has told us that you write down what you think is worthy of writing down. And I am telling you that everything is worthy of writing down. But it is different from one person to another. The Sheikh might be doing an explanation that is for beginners. For you, you might know most of what he's saying. So for you, it is what? It is revision. So you are revising and you are happy and saying Alhamdulillah, and you are revising and testing your memory and testing your hifd and testing your knowledge of these. And maybe you're not writing anything down because you know these things. And somebody that just started out, maybe he's writing every single word that the Sheikh is saying. And you have some students that are writing down that which he needs to write down. That which is new to him. That which he thinks that this is important. I have to revise this. And the crucial information, the crucial benefit here is that we have more than what the Sheikh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen was talking about. Nowadays, we have not just internet with 50 kilobytes. Yani back in the day, ya akhwa, the people that paid money, a lot of money, they paid $100, $200 for the internet, they had something called DSL. It was like 128 kilobytes. It reached all the way like half a meg. It's not much. Nowadays, it's what? You have 5G, I don't know, you have, it's like 100 megs or 500 megs or something like that. To the point now, if you play the lecture on a platform, it doesn't even stop. It doesn't even stop. And now we have phones and we have tablets and we can do what? We can just double click, it goes 10 seconds back. If you did not know that, I did not know that. Now I know this. You just double click, it goes 10 seconds. And it is perfect for you. You are listening to the Sheikh, you're writing down, and then you double click it with your you double tap on it on the screen itself. So it goes back 10 seconds and you write every single word without missing a word. Without missing a word. In the English language, you say without missing a beat, and I don't know what that stands for. Do they mean without missing a heartbeat, or do they mean music? If it's music, then we don't use that. A student of knowledge should be above that. So you don't miss a word. Alhamdulillah. And not just that, ya ikhwan. And not just that. When I asked our Sheikh Muhammad Hisham regarding the learning from the internet, and he agreed to that, you can even see how the Sheikh behaves himself. You don't need to buy a videotape of Sheikh. Everything is there. Even bin Uthaymeen himself, you will find lectures of him with videos, and you see how did Imam bin Uthaymeen behave himself. You will see from the mashayikh and the ulama, Imam bin Baz, how he behaved himself. You will see on audio how Imam Al-Albani behaved himself. Now you'll see how Sheikh Al-Allama Salih Al-Fawzan behaves himself, and Salih Al-Luhaydan and Abdul Razzaq Al-Badr and from the mashayikh. You see how they behave themselves. So, and this is called samt. I'll give you an example that is very relevant. When Sheikh Abdul Razzaq Al-Badr went to Indonesia, if I'm not mistaken, and a child came up and he started saying the hadith that the good deeds of a person are cut off once he died, except from 3 ways, until the end of the hadith. How did the Sheikh behave himself? He hugged him, he kissed him, they gave him a gift, and then he gave him money. And when he did not see the child, the child, inshallah, Allahumma barak, inshallah, he becomes from the ulama of Indonesia. And when he paid attention that he did not pay attention to the child, he kissed what? His hand. He kissed his hand. Allahumma barak. And we see this with our mashayikh. We see how they kiss the heads of the children, and they talk to them, and they tell them. Sometimes, I remember I had my nephew, his name is Ismail. So I took him, and he was still, this was years ago, he was still very young. So I took him with the Sheikh. We had either a lesson or the Salat al-Jum'ah, and Sheikh Muhammad Hisham was there. So when he approached the Sheikh started talking, what is your name? And started talking to him, and then he said, do you know me? Do you know what my name is? And then he said, I am Muhammad. And how he was talking to him, subhanallah, the tawaddud he was making to him, he's not even making him feel as if he is as old as his father or grandfather. La, he was talking, my name is Muhammad, what is your name? And there is also a video, you'll see many videos, and we have seen our mashayikh, how they behave even with little children. So we learn from their way, we learn from how they make tawaddud, we learn from their friendly manner, from their decent manner, we learn from how they do not fall into low types of behavior. They don't fall into a behavior that you think in your head, you're like, this is not befitting of a person of ilm. Actually, they even exceed our imaginations in many ways. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve them all. And if we see a zalla from them, a slip from them, who doesn't slip, ya akha? Who is somebody that doesn't make a mistake? Naam.
أحسن الله إليكم.
One
قول الإمام
second.
بكر أبو زيد.
There is a question, and normally I don't want I don't answer questions normally in the middle of the lesson, but here we have, if a person struggles with istinja, yani meaning cleaning yourself after going to the toilet, and finds difficulty in traces going away after 20 and 30 minutes, can he just get up and do wudu? Will it be pardoned, or does he stay to an hour? And does he get rewarded for staying that long? This is a very important question, and this is why I want to deal with this. Barakallahu fikum. Oh, they said Salaam alaikum, alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. By the way, if you send a message that and you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, it is not mandatory for me to write to alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I could say it and even not reply to on if you send a message or on any platform you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I can say it alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh without typing it. Anyway, let's go to the question. If someone struggles with istinja and he's washing himself and so on, and finds difficulty in traces going away after 20 minutes to 30 minutes, I assure you that all the traces went away, insha'Allah Azza wa Jal, in less than 1 minute. Focus with me. Now, stop chit-chatting, barakallahu fikum. You're asking me, I'm answering. You're going to miss the answer now. It will go away in 30 seconds, 40 seconds. All the traces went away. If you actually use water, what we use nowadays, what do you call them? The hoses, what do you call them? In English? Bidet? What do you call them?
نعم بدي.
Bidet. If you use the bidet, then if you are washing after urination, it will go away in no more than 10 seconds. Okay? You wash, you put water, 1, 2, 3, 4. What's going to remain after 10 seconds? It's not much, and you don't need to wash for that long. طيب, what about if if the person defecated? Defecation, it's going to need like a minute. It's going to need a minute of washing, for example. Of washing and rubbing as well, for example. And that's it. 1 minute. There are no traces. طيب. But the brother might say, but I can see traces after 20, 30 minutes. We say yes. But what are the traces that you are seeing? Delusions from the shaitan. Delusions from the shaitan. There are no traces. No traces whatsoever. If there is filth somewhere and you pour water on it with a bidet, it goes away. It goes away. Even when we are cleaning something and we pour water, how long does it take, ya akhwa, until it goes? 5 seconds? 6 seconds? 10 seconds? Doesn't take much. Aywa. So this is the shaitan trying to lower your iman and making acts of worship harder for you in order to ultimately make you leave Islam, or to inflict as much harm as he is able upon you. Again, I am being very insistent upon this. You go to the bathroom, apologies for, you urinated, apologies for the wordings, you urinated from the frontal passage and you defecated. If you don't know what defecated is, the back passage. طيب. Now I take the bidet. Okay? And I pour water. طيب. How long is it going to take to clean the place of urination? 5 seconds. Let's say most 10 seconds. طيب. And the place of defecation, 1 minute. It's not going to take more than a minute. Okay, barakallahu fikum. And you are making ghusl, and as we have studied in tahara, that ghusl is when you pour water or when water reaches the surface and falls off of it. And we said there is something called a dalk, which is to rub. And this is a higher form. It is cleaner than just water, than just pouring water, just making ghusl. Did I say ghusl? Ghusl, huh? Not ghusl. If I said ghusl, then this is a mistake. Ghusl. So when you wash and you are also rubbing the place of najasa, how many, if we're talking about 60 seconds, and you're gonna, at the very least, you're gonna have rubbed that place for 50 times, 40 times. There are no traces. There's water and the bidet water and you're rubbing. Khalas, it's done. So it's going to take a minute. Not going to take more than that. Whatever is above that is what? Is waswas, the shaitan. The shaitan now is trying to do what? To ruin your life, and by that to ruin your deen. And there's a story that the Sheikh Salim al-Tawil, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him, told us about. I was not present. I saw it through YouTube. So he told us what? Us as you and I. That there was a person, imagine doctor, my dear and beloved doctor, Akbar. Imagine, ya Sheikh, there is someone that used to spend half an hour making wudu. He's thinking what? That he did not, what's it called? He did not make wudu. So, it would take him half an hour. The Sheikh says, every time I see him drenched in water. All his clothes, his dishtar filled with water. And the Sheikh was giving him advice. So, he continued without taking the advice of the Sheikh, with the shaitan. He says, I saw him one day and he looked clean, he was not drenched in water and dressed properly and so on. So he looked at the Sheikh and he said, Abashrik, I give you glad tidings. I stopped praying altogether. Na'udhu billah. What glad tidings? The shaitan stuck to him with the waswas until he made him leave salah. And as for some of the sayings of the people of Ilm, he left Islam by doing so. Aywa. The brother is saying, I see colored traces with eye on white toilet paper. I used to wipe and sometimes I sense itching. Barakallahu fikum. I fear I wipe too much, it causes damage. All of this is your imagination. There is nothing, absolutely. If you watched for 20 minutes, not for 20 minutes, if you watched for 3 minutes, there's absolutely nothing in the backside. There is only the shaitan doing this to you. No itching, no nothing. This is called waswas. Let me tell you something. And we have a doctor here. We have, Allahumma barak, a doctor that can testify to what I'm saying. If what I say is wrong, then the doctor can correct me, because he is the person of knowledge here in regards to this. Sometimes the doctors do what? They see that the person really thinks that he's sick and he's not. So they give him something called placebo. They give him some vitamins, or sometimes they give him a certain kind of a drink, and it's not a medicine. And they tell him, you will get better in no time. Trust me. This medication, insha'Allah Azza wa Jalla, you're going to get better in no time. And they're not lying, because they know that this will treat him. They'll treat his symptom. Many patients have taken this, and they got much better. And they give him vitamins or something like that in order to also give him nashat, or they just give him a certain drink. And after he uses it, he comes to the doctor and he says, Allahumma barak, what is this medicine? I feel much, much better. Why? Because it's in his head. So he gave him this as a placebo. That to tell him, because he's not getting convinced that he just needs to do some changes or not to think about it, and he's not sick. So he's thinking about it. So once he takes this, he says, now I'm doing the reasons, I'm going to get better. And he gets better by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Aywa. No, the brother says small traces. There are no traces whatsoever. If you washed for 1 minute, there are no traces whatsoever. This is waswas now. But don't let the waswas, instantly when the waswas does this to you, you know what you do? I'm not going to stay any longer. That's it. This happens to me as well. Barakallahu fiqh, when I'm making wudu. Especially when I shower. I make wudu. And then, did I make wudu? I didn't make wudu. I know that it has to. And I know that I have. I always make wudu. So when this waswas starts and I see that it's happening a lot, do you know what I do? I do not make wudu. I know I made wudu. That's it. And I always make wudu. Why do I give room for the waswas? And in the beginning, when I did wudu a second time, do you know what it tells me? It says, did you wash your feet? Make wudu a third time. You see how this is going? Make wudu a third time. Make wudu a fourth time. La. Khalas, that's it. So I get up after 3 minutes. No, you get up after a minute and a half. Tops. That's it. There's nothing more. And don't wipe and start looking. This is waswas. Our dear and beloved doctor said, yes, dear Ustadh, this is very calming. It's all waswas. And we have a doctor with us. Ya Dr. Akbar. When someone washes his back passage or يعني, for 1 minute, are there any traces that are really there? And when he wipes with tissue and starts looking, isn't this like a kind of يعني, mental condition that could lead him to sickness? If يعني, there is a, from your expertise, if there is an answer to this, please يعني, give us the answer and I will read it, okay? I get many waswas questions. Therefore, I took like 10 minutes of today's lesson to answer this. I get so many waswas questions. But I really want the brothers and the sisters that are suffering from waswas to understand that يعني, they can do it. A person should not be so weak in order to say, no, I can't, no, I can't. Wallahi, you can. Wallahi, you can. All you gotta do is, don't think about it, just do it. I'm thinking about, so shun it. I cannot, I think my wudu, just make wudu and get out. I think I am not clean. Ya akhi, you're clean, just get out. Don't continue with this type of thinking, whatever it is. Whatever it is. Talib, our doctor here said 0 traces, especially with our pressure of bidet nowadays. Allahumma barak. Alhamdulillah. Here you go, people of, يعني, of knowledge in regards to this. Talib. Let's go back now, inshallah, and start with, do we have time? طيب, we have some time. Let's start with the next one. نعم.
أحسن الله إليكم. Al-Imam Bakr Abu Zayd rahimahullah ta'ala says, number 22, acquiring knowledge from a mubtadi', meaning an innovator. Beware of the mubtadi' Abu Jahl, the one who has been touched by deviancy in his aqidah and engulfed by the clouds of fiction. He who allows himself to be ruled by his vain desires and calls it logic and diverts from the...
Allahu Akbar. ويسميه العقل. We had one of the brothers that told, remember the class, I think it was an Aqidah class, when one of the brothers said, I told somebody that, he said Allah doesn't have a hand and he has to be like his creation. So I told him Allah exists and we exist. Does that mean we have to, do we have to deny Allah's existence? He said, La, but the Aql affirms it. Look at what the Sheikh is saying. They call bid'ah what? They call it al-aql. They call it al-aql. And let me give you actually an answer to this. And I'll try to be very brief because we want to finish the book. Whenever someone tells you al-aql, ya Sheikh Ali, whenever someone tells you al-aql, the mind says, which mind? Which mind? We have 8 billion people living on this earth. Which mind? We have 8 billion minds. طيب 100 years ago, which mind? 200 years ago, which mind? He says, La, the aql affirms the existence of Allah Azza wa Jal, affirms 7 attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal. Say, La, the aql of the Mu'tazila doesn't affirm any attribute. Which aql? Is it the aql of the Jahmiyyah? Or is it the aql of the Batiniyah? Or is it the aql of the Qadariyah? Or is it the aql of the Jabriyah? Or is it the aql of the Murji'ah? Or is it the aql of the Mu'tazila? Or is it the aql of al-Asha'ira? Or is it the aql of the Kullabiyya? Or is it the aql of al-Karramiyya? Or is it the aql of al-Khawarij? Or is it the aql? Which aql? Is it the aql of the people of Kalam, the people of philosophy? Which aql are you telling us that the aql affirms? There is no such a thing in, as I told you, it's like saying nature says. Where is nature? Bring me nature that says. Which aql? What is the aql that you are saying? Say, La, tell me. Wasil ibn Ata says. We know it's a Mu'tazila. Say, say the Kullabiyya say. So we know this is the aql of the Kullabiyya that you're talking about. Aywa. So now you are talking about people. Don't tell me al-aql, the aql. There is no such a thing. So, ya ikhwa, wallahi, they are always so weak. And I think, and I believe, that giving them room for them to throw their shubuhat, and they attack, they throw their shubuhat, and we are just defend, is a very wrong approach. Before they start talking and before they, wait, instantly. Come, let me ask you about, yani question what he says, attack what he says instantly. someone comes and says, it is lazim, it is binding, that if Allah has a hand and you has a hand, then they are like one another. Therefore, we deny. You say, don't continue. Deny the hand. La la la. Who said this is lazim? Who said that this is binding? Who said that this is logical? Who said that this is an inevitable result? The ant has a hand. The elephant has a hand. They have a leg. The horse has a leg. I have eyes. The falcon has eyes. The horse has eyes. The bee has eyes. What are you talking about? How are they the same? Don't tell me then they are like one another. They are the same. No, they are not. Every creation befitting to him, and the creator, his attributes are uncreated, befitting to him subhanahu wa ta'ala. As simple as that. Don't come now and give me what? And start giving me conclusions. And start giving me theories. And then you say, based on this, as if they are facts, and now we have to follow the criteria you put for me. Your whole criteria is rubbish. Therefore, we do not even, once you start saying, therefore, it means that, so no, it does not mean what you say. It does not mean what you say. Who said that what you are saying is correct in the first place? So don't fall into that, ya ikhwa. Okay, barakallahu fikum. Don't fall into that. When someone says, then it means they are like one another. No, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. So the foundations they lay, destroy them instantly. Say they are not foundations in the first place. Therefore, ya ikhwa, the rule of Sheikh Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala is whenever they try to use an evidence, in the same evidence, there is evidence what? Against them. The evidence that they use, the people of Bid'ah, they bring you evidence, an ayah, a hadith, in it you'll find that it is against them and not with them. And this is a great rule in debating or discussing with the qawm, with these people, or even in looking at what they're saying and you are learning the truth. You look, they said so and so, you say, la, this is not. This is actually against them and not for them. No.
أحسن الله إليكم. Al-Imam Bakr Abu Zayd rahimahullah ta'ala continues. No.
Actually,
akhi,
Ali, I'm taking a look at this chapter. It's actually a long one. It needs a full, it needs a full lesson on its own. So I think, it's quite long. I think if we leave it for next time, it's a lot better, so that we are fresh. It's and maybe we can finish it all in one sitting. It's 20 pages. I believe it's more than 20 pages. More than 20 pages. Naam. Inshallah Azza wa Jal, we do our best next time to move through it and read the whole thing better, inshallah Azza wa Jal. Let's move on to the tafsir. Inshallah Azza wa Jal. Naam, they call it premise. Ahsant, I was looking for the word. The premises they put are false. Instantly attack the premise. Don't take it as common, as if it's, especially also atheists, by the way. I didn't mention this, but let's end with this. Also atheists. Instantly they start telling you, they show you a certain bone of an animal, because the only thing that they have is the theory of evolution. They have nothing else. Once you destroy this, they have nothing else. What do they say? So he shows you, and sometimes they're quite similar. Hiya Sheikh, hiya Dr. Akbar or Sheikh Ibn Munir. Sometimes they're quite similar. You look at them, you're like, Allahumma barak, Allahu Akbar, what is this? Yes, they look the same, and they show you this bone, and then it grew longer, and this, and therefore, it grew from that. What are you talking about? Similarity doesn't mean that something came out of something else. It does not mean they are the same. Yeah, subhanallah, sometimes, ya ikhwa, we eat different fruits. Are they the same? They are similar in taste. Are they the same? Sometimes they're extremely different. You eat an apple, is it the same as an orange? Is it the same? Even if there are similarities. I remember once I was reading, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. If you can correct me if I'm wrong. But they were talking about the similarity of DNA. So somebody replied to them and said, scientifically, we have similarities in DNA with bananas. That doesn't mean we evolved from bananas. Banana is a fruit. Subhanallah, but they hold these things from you, the premises they put for you. And then if you look at it closely from a molecular level, in no way, shape, or form have we evolved from animals. More than 60%, Naam, Abu Aisha, this is what I heard. More than 60%, the DNA of a banana. So does that mean that we evolved, as they say, from bananas? Actually, everything they say nowadays is made up of electrons and neutrons and protons and cells and so on. Everything. Does that mean that we evolved from air and air evolved from us? And similarity does not mean that we evolved. It is a curtain that they put in front of your eyes. Similarities between us and animals, then this type of animal, we have a lot of similarities, or two animals, they have a lot of similarities, then they have a common ancestor and they evolved from so and so. Who said that these premises are correct? There is similarity in every living thing, as they are made up of electrons and protons and neutrons, and so does that mean that they all evolved from one another? And similarity does not mean that. So the premise they put for you in the first place is wrong, is not accurate, and has nothing to do with their claim. Nothing to do with their claim. Yes, there are similarities between living things, but that is not a proof of any type of evolution. And subhanallah, since we are on the subject, I will leave you with this. How can you believe in something that evolved over millions of years? How can you believe in such a thing? Dr. Akbar, Allahumma barik, he's a man of, he's a doctor and he studied, and we all have Yazan, but he's not joining. And where is Abu Abdullah? He also was studying medicine. And I think we have another doctor with us, but I don't see him on Zoom. And maybe many of you study science and so on. When they say in the theory of evolution, wallahi ya ikhwa, this deserves, let's give it some minutes. This deserves, I want your opinion. Reply to me. And if somebody has studied this, let me know. They say there are small changes. This is the theory of, by the way, this is what the scientists say, that there are small changes over millions of years that led to evolution. So, and it is, the mechanism is natural selection. And that is that they make small changes and they pass them down through genes. Okay? Wallahi, I'm trying to hold myself from the silliness of what I'm saying. They say that environment, in order for them to survive the environment, they do this. How? If a harsh environment comes, everyone is going to die. Those that survived did not change over millions of years in genetics. You understand what I'm telling you? How could that, if it is really cold, now they're going to evolve what? Everything died because it's really cold. You need, as you said, 20 million years for them to evolve this fur. So how did they survive in the first place? They need this to survive. And how? You understand my question? How does the environment gets harsh so they start dying? In order for them not to get extinct, they have to make these changes. They need millions of years to make these changes. If they did not these changes, then it means all of them survived. And if they needed these changes, it means that what? All of them died. And if some of them at that time survived because they made changes, why don't we see it now? We're going to see some human beings that changed a little bit in order to survive an environment you put him. The lifespan of an animal doesn't go for millions of years. This animal that survived at that period of time, and you said it changed a little bit and made some changes, over how many years? 1 year, 2 years, 10 years? Talib, do it, then show us. How is this? Leave somebody in a cold place and in 10 years, he's gonna change a little bit. This is nonsense. If harsh weather comes, yes, some will die, some won't die, but they did not evolve. That existed from the beginning and they passed their genes, as they said. So it existed from the beginning. You cannot tell me they didn't have beaks and then they evolved beaks over millions of years. They didn't have hair and they evolved hair after 10 million. They didn't have hearts. They didn't have lungs and they evolved lungs. How? Is this understood? Oh, Allah, subhanallah, whenever I hear this, I'm like, are you for real? You're claiming this? Harsh weather came, and they died and a few survived. What do you mean a few survived? They evolved in a month, in 1 year they evolved. And if that's the case, then show us. No, it needs millions of years. Yani the weather stayed for millions of years and they lived for millions of years and kept changing. No, they pass it through the DNA. How did they survive in the first place? And how did they change in the first place? Huh? No, it existed. If it existed, they didn't evolve in the first place. Nonsense remains nonsense. This is nonsense. How did they evolve if they have had it to begin with? How do they, wallahi, how do they trick you into believing in these things? How do they put this curtain on you and you start saying, huh? Ah, yeah, over millions of years. It makes no sense. Subhanallah, subhanallah. Dr. Akbar says, Allah al-Musta'an, it's funny how they make conclusions. This is only what they think it's happening, but in reality, they don't understand it completely and correctly. Wrong understanding. Tayyib, subhanallah. Therefore, you have some of the ulama, some of these sciences that scientists that come and they say, it makes no sense. And when we sit behind closed doors with these so-called Darwinists and so on, they say it makes no sense. Subhanallah. Anyway, I think this is worthy of mentioning as a benefit. Apologies for steering off of today's lesson a little bit, but there are some things that sometimes we think are worth the time, even if we went a little bit out of today's lesson. So forgive me for that. Let's move on to the tafsir. Insha'Allah Azza wa Jal. Na'am.